it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today, and we're zooming in and focusing in on a very important viewer input or comment that I receive quite frequently here at the channel, and that is the experience of the difficulty of letting go or separating or individuating or kind of proliferating that traumatic bond from a narcissist or a psychopath. A trauma bond is a very close and intimate connection that is created with an emotionally abusive individual and another who were, basically, if you can kind of think of roles associated or identity or approach or feeling or a mindset that occurs in those individuals who are targeted or stay around or are in relationships with emotionally manipulative, abusive sort of individuals. There is the creation of what is called a trauma bond, basically where the manipulative individual, the one who's emotionally manipulative, the intimidator, the controller, the one who seeks to have power over another. In other words, that is the apparatus morandi of this individual and their approach to relationships, particularly with those who they, because of their feeling or pathological sense of self-importance, pathological meaning diseased, beyond normal or abnormal, their sense of self-importance creates kind of a toxic aura or an energy around this individual that causes them to want to have power over, dominate, and control another. And particularly those who they are seeking to reinforce their ego or their presence of being superior than, above than, or better than. In other words, they love to surround themselves with people who will feed that illusion, who will feed that persona, who will feed that identity, that public mask, and keep that illusion going or that facade going. In other words, they love to surround themselves. So there are people who will easily give in or maintain that sort of outer public identity, if you will. In other words, it's easier to fan the flames of this person's ego or their public persona of being better than, that entitlement factor, that issue that you are always right. People are not ever, no one else can approach them or call them out or have a discussion that's based on, back and forth. It has to be a one-directional relationship. And so a trauma bond is experienced with those individuals who we're calling, who stick around for the abuse, can't separate from the abuse, who feel a source of supply, if you will, or a source of victimized, if you will. So these individuals oftentimes, experience this identification with the abuser and have a very difficult time separating or defining themselves outside of the relationship. So because it is so intense, because it is so strong, because it is so emotionally laden, it is difficult to separate yourself, break free, break apart from this feeling, experienced self-assessment, especially when there's, all sorts of bullying or mounting up of information or people or Facebook. Facebook is the greatest culprit of a lot of this maintaining a false identity. What you put on Facebook, and this is a huge, huge problem, especially with younger people who are, intertwined and ensnared with these sort of relationships, keeping this outer appearance of happiness, success. Look at me, we're at the party. Look at me, wearing the scantily dressed clothing. Look at me with the shoes. It's just this outer appearance. It has nothing to do oftentimes with the inner reality or, all the bad shots, all the bad, struggles. And it creates this whole diversion or perversion, if you will, of use of energy to create this outer mask, outer appearance as being more valuable, more important than the inner life or inner reality, inner, true intrapersonal relationship. In other words, one's relationship with themselves, as well as true relationships with others. And then what is created then is this whole perversion of relationships, which are based on, the outer appearance. Like, look at us. They might not be true friends, who are there when you're sick. In other words, the narcissist is the typical person who goes, oh my God, you have a runny nose. Like, I'm out of here. I'm not going to miss the party because you're sick. Or like, look at you. You've got strep throat. Oh my God, like, you're hideous. Like, they're not very true friends, loving, caring the way that friends are. Friends are there for, the good times and the bad times, the sunny days and the rainy days, the ups and the downs. Like, that's what a true friendship is. They can hear the true you and not belittle you, minimize you, make you feel bad for feeling this way. So we have this whole proliferation of people then who want to, who don't want to discuss or speak their true feelings. The fact that they might feel lost, the fact that they might feel overwhelmed, the fact that they don't like the way that how things are handled, the fact that they don't like having to take painstaking hours to, create this false facade and have their grades suffer, their income suffer, their health suffer to keep up this outer shell, if you will. And so the trauma bond oftentimes is then reinforced. In other words, it gets rewarded. Basically, reinforcement means you get the thumbs up on Facebook, you get the thumbs up on Instagram, you get the, millions of people, friends, you get the sorority, the fraternity, the boys club, girls club, whatever it is at the workplace that happens to be, based on, popularity contests, things of that nature versus the work done. So it becomes a very much reinforced relationship, and then it can cause a lot of discouragement and unhappiness and confusion and loss for people who are on that supply or victim status. In other words, they get pushed down lower, the other people are higher, and then the division becomes more severe. And so it's very, very serious what is going on. And, there's not enough help to help people see that it is okay to break free from this sort of relationship. You don't have to have the Instagram likes, the going along with the outer show. In other words, the whole, acting, what is that, song on Friday nights, get up and do it again. I mean, where you're getting yourself in trouble, and, there are other parts of your life that are suffering because of this. And then because people don't feel validated for their true experience, they can't speak to those people in that inner posse. They don't get it. It oftentimes goes swept under the rug, and then it compounds for years. It becomes more severe. The experience of being, traumatized. So the trauma continues to be reinforced again and again and again. And so it can be very, very solidified. The position of trauma and being, misunderstood can be reinforced and really, solidified in a person. And it becomes very difficult then not only to break away, to let go, but also to not feel like they are doing something wrong. In other words, that they are doubting their own perceptions. There might be some jealousy, feeling like, well, this person should be, maybe they are right. There's this misgiving or doubt that maybe this person is right. Look how many followers they have. Look how many people, like this. Or, there's so much evidence to the contrary that you feel oftentimes like doubting of oneself, or for example, a jealousy like, well, look at what they have. They have all these followers. They have all this thumbs up. They have, look at them, with their this or their relationships. So they're going out, or, whatever it is that they're presenting to the outside world to be quote unquote coveted. But remember that oftentimes this is, as we call, socially engineered reality, which oftentimes has nothing to do with reality. It has nothing to do with their true happiness, what goes on behind closed doors, how their work doing, how their finances are doing, how their grades are doing. It belays an unreality. And so people then get caught up, as we say, get caught up on the illusion, and they have a difficult time letting go. Perhaps this was a good woman. Perhaps this was a good man. Perhaps this is a good sister. Perhaps this is a good father. And they have difficulty letting go. They think, well, this could have been the best person. Am I not, am I missing something? And so it becomes difficult to make that internal assessment and judgment and really think for yourself. So what I would encourage you to say is absolutely positively, if you know unequivocally in your heart how you've been treated, how you have felt, how this person lives their life, living life on the outside, but in inner reality or, in inner experience other than what they have presented, then you need to understand that there is nothing to be jealous of in this individual. It is not worth you sticking around, living a lie, reinforcing another's lie, in order to proliferate the illusion by your appearing, to force yourself to assimilate to them, adapt to them, give them the props up or whatever it is. You are not required to do that. It is oftentimes not right for you. It is not your truth. It is not your experience. So you need to validate yourself and think for yourself in this situation, even if it's not the popular thing to do. It will be the popular thing with you in the future once you know, thank goodness you have separated and distinguished yourself away from that role, because they will grind you down and waffle you down to the point where they're forcing you into a mold which is contradictory to your, what is good for you. And only you have known this, but it's time for you to hear it, reinforce it, and validate it, and then take action steps moving forward to separate and not feel bad, not feel jealous of this individual, not feel envious of, what it is, quote unquote, they have. Because oftentimes what they have is not a real, it's a confabulated, it's a photoshopped, it's a engineered, it's a photograph sort of appearance of status, but oftentimes it has nothing to do with a true reality. Excuse me, the true fidelity of the relationships. Oftentimes these people, will put up all these different pictures. Look at this, look at that, but you don't know the reality, what is going on. The cheating, the pathological lying, etc. It appears as if they're the, quintessential, happiness. But oftentimes that is not the case. They are not the most popular just because they have a bolstered up ego, which, they are seeking that supply, that trauma bond, and keep that enforced to keep them into a feeling of dominion and power that has nothing to do with reality. Oftentimes it is a painful and very sorrowful, melancholy way to live. And so once you're able to realize that there is nothing to be jealous of, it is the right moral thing to do to let them go and embrace yourself, embrace your truth, embrace your perception. Even if it's single and solitary, you need to have that solidarity within yourself and know that in your heart and be very strong and happy that you've made that assessment and let it go. Let them be them and let you be you. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.